Hey, it's Ted McGrath. So it has been a while, but I want to break down Trump's crypto order yesterday and what it basically means in simple English, what it could also mean for MicroStrategy. I'm also going to talk today about certain states that are obviously lobbying or looking to pass legislation to have a Bitcoin reserve. So sorry, I've been out of the loop for a while. In fact, I've been taking care of my dad. He's been in the hospital and he's getting better now. So I've been off the reservation for the last 11 days, but I'm back. All right. So I want to get into right now basically what did Trump actually pass yesterday with his new executive order on crypto? Why am I more bullish than ever for 2025 as it relates to crypto and MicroStrategy? And what's the simplicity of what Trump actually put together? So let's jump into that right now, okay? So, and then we'll get into a little bit here on the states of like certain states that are also getting involved in crypto and creating strategic Bitcoin reserves as well. So, so basically, the reason why Trump's crypto order is, I think, one of the most bullish signs for Bitcoin and crypto ever is pretty simple, right? Number one, he signed this executive order the other night called Strengthening American Leadership in Digital Financial Technology. So basically, what that means is it's going to make it official U.S. policy to support and protect digital assets like Bitcoin. All right. So the basic quote from the order, to simplify it, says essentially this: the growth of digital financial technology in America must remain unhindered by restrictive regulations or unnecessary government interference. So basically, we got the government getting out of the way. If you think about crypto has been on this big launch pad, like the rocket's been ready to take off for years. And the government's been really hindering it, particularly with the last administration. And so now you have an administration that's coming in and they're like, all right, we got this crypto rocket. There's a lot of fuel behind it. It's stuck on the launch pad. How do we release the clamps on the launch pad of the rocket so the rocket can go into outer space? And that's basically what Trump issued yesterday with his executive order. So you can expect that the rocket is going to go into outer space. And so this is a big move that happened yesterday. And I got a lot of texts from my friends last night. They're like, yo, what does this mean for crypto, man? And a lot of people who are, Bitcoin maximalists, who are like, how come it wasn't called a strategic Bitcoin reserve? And that wasn't the main premise of the executive order. I think the executive order is more bullish overall for Bitcoin, is more bullish for crypto, because we're looking at an entire industry, not just Bitcoin. So that's very good for Bitcoin. It's also very good for MicroStrategy. If you're just joining me, apologies for being out the last 11 days. My dad was actually in intensive care. He's better now, but I've been with him in the hospital for the last 11 days, and he's getting out of intensive care, which is really good. Okay. So, so back to the order of what happened with what Trump said. So this is very, very good. If you think of like another analogy would be like a dam breaking. For years, the government rules have slowed down crypto adoption. So now that the dam is gone, you got a flood of innovation that's about to rush in, okay, which is exciting. So the other thing is, a lot of people thought of Trump creating this advisory board for crypto, but instead he went to create a working group on digital asset markets. So basically, in English, what does this group actually do? Number one, it's going to develop rules for crypto assets like Bitcoin, like stable coins. Okay. So that's the first thing. Number two, it's going to explore creating a national digital asset stockpile. So basically, what I gathered from that is it's going to go to this group. The group's going to look it over and they're going to decide what's going to go in the digital asset stockpile. I anticipate Bitcoin will go in it, and there'll probably be other cryptocurrencies that go in it as well, but we'll see. And, I don't think it's going to be an overnight decision of what the stockpile looks like. So there's going to be an extended period of time where they look this over and they make or pass some regulations and rules on what goes into the stockpile, but we'll see. Okay. But overall, the sentiment and the executive order is super, super bullish for the crypto space, like incredibly bullish. And we're going to talk in a moment why this is incredibly bullish from a banking perspective as well, because we know that the banks have been extremely restricted to do anything crypto related and anything bank related, and those ties have just been taken off. So that's huge. Also, unnecessary regulations that have been stifling crypto innovation have been taken off as well. So basically, you can look at this as the U.S. just flipped the script, right? From blocking crypto to now embracing it. And this is going to draw in investment money like never before, particularly in the banking industry. All right. Not to mention the fact that Trump just launched his own coin. A lot of controversy on his own coin. I bought into his coin when it initially launched, which was kind of fun. And whether it's speculative or not, the fact of the matter is a huge percentage of Trump's net worth is now tied up in that coin. There was a lot of controversy of whether he should have done that, of whether it was the right thing to do. Lots of people have different opinions on it, but overall, being bullish on the space, you have a president that has his net worth tied up in cryptocurrency now. That's a good thing for the space. Is he going to be biased towards his regulations and think of his own personal interests? Yeah, I mean, I think so too. He's also going to think of the greater good of the economy and the world, and the future of the U.S. But like, he's personally vested in this. This is a really, really, really good thing. Regardless of what you think about his coin, who cares? His net worth is now tied up in crypto. This is a good sign and a very, very bullish sign. So that's great. Okay. Also, why is this big from a banking perspective? The banking breakthrough is called the SAB 121 repeal. Okay. And basically what this means is he basically repealed this law. Okay. Or rule, I should say. And basically the rule made it too expensive for banks to hold Bitcoin for customers. And so now that it's gone, banks can finally get into the crypto game. So this is a quote from the Bank of America CEO. If the rules come in and make it, meaning crypto, a real thing you can actually do business with, you'll find that the banking system will come in hard. Okay, so this was a quote from the Bank of America CEO from a while ago. So if the rules basically change, he's saying like you can expect the banking system to come in hard. That's Bank of America CEO. So imagine it's like banks were like little kids at a playground. They couldn't play with the coolest new toy because of the strict rules, right? Now that the rules are gone, every kid or bank is rushing to get their hands on this cool toy, which is crypto. So the banks are coming in hard, all right? Trump's coin, his token, we saw his meme coin go up to like a $70 billion market cap. I mean, to give that perspective, in 48 hours or so, $70 billion rushed into this coin. So the positive of this is many, many, many new users came into crypto as a result of Trump's coin. So in terms of being good for the space, again, whether you agree on Trump's meme coin or not, it's good for the space because it creates new awareness. It gets new users rushing into the actual crypto space. And that means that's good for Bitcoin because new awareness, new crypto is new awareness for crypto and Bitcoin and meme coins and the crypto space in general has just taken place with the launch of his new coin. And the amount of money and capital that flew into this thing was massive, guys. I mean, it was up there with some of the top crypto coins in terms of market cap in a couple of days. So this is super bullish for the space as well, which is really, really good news. All right. Obviously, I'm bullish on the space. Otherwise, I wouldn't be reporting the good news on it because I just believe this is good for the space. Also, reports show that Trump potentially has about 5 times his net worth tied up in crypto right now. So with a lot of his net worth in the game, that means that we got a president who's personally vested in crypto and in Bitcoin and in the overall crypto market. Okay. So ETFs, let's talk about ETFs, why this is a good thing that crypto regulations are being taken off and released. And again, it's kind of like you have this crypto rocket ship. It's on the launch pad. And for the last several years, the previous administration was holding the rocket here on Earth, and it couldn't go into orbit, into other planets and into space. Now the clamps have been taken off the rocket can go. which is super good. And this also means for new ETFs that are going to be coming out. So this is huge for billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to rush into the space, right? So now that banks can hold and trade crypto, you can expect to see a new wave of crypto ETFs, meaning basically funds, right? And this will make it easy for anybody to invest in crypto without needing wallets or private keys. I mean, if you look at what it took to if any of you bought Trump's meme coin, and this is not financial advice, anything I say here, not legal advice, not tax advice, but if anybody bought his meme coin, you saw what you had to go through to buy it. I mean, I had to transfer money from my one crypto account or one exchange, transfer it to the next, put it into Solana, purchase the meme coin. How many people are going to go through this who are new to crypto in terms of buying crypto? If they hear about Solana in the news and they want to buy it, when the ETF comes out, people are just going to buy the ETF. When other ETFs come out and people hear about maybe XRP or Solana or whatever the case might be, the fact that it makes easy for them to buy it, that means lots more money is going to flow into the space, which is a really, really good thing. So these regulations being lifted, or restrictions, I should say, being lifted to pass new regulations in the crypto space is really, really, really good. And so billions and billions of dollars are going to pour into the space, which is why I'm even more bullish. Morgan Stanley CEO says this: we'll work with regulators to offer crypto services safely. That's Morgan Stanley. So you got Bank of America, you got Morgan Stanley, you got Goldman Sachs, who previously said before this bill was passed by Trump, or I should say before the executive crypto order was put in, Goldman Sachs CEO says if the world changes, we can have a discussion about owning Bitcoin. The world's changed. So now the discussion is in place. All right. So again, this is going to fuel the next big bull run here, because of banks, ETFs, billions and billions of dollars pouring into the space. And if you think about the magnitude of this, it's pretty powerful to think that the banks can now get in the game. So you think about all the banks in the world and the billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, and before them being handcuffed and they couldn't do anything. Now, all the different types of crypto products. I mean, you're going to be able to take loans and take loans off your Bitcoin now. This is a big deal, guys. A big deal. So it's incredible that restrictions have been taken off the banks, because it's huge for crypto in the long run. Okay. And I know if you're a Bitcoin fan or a MicroStrategy fan, a lot of times we're looking at this and thinking, wow, why did he not announce a strategic Bitcoin reserve? And we were all looking for those words, because that would be extremely bullish for Bitcoin, extremely bullish for MicroStrategy, because we know they're tightly correlated and related to Bitcoin being, the strategic Bitcoin reserve. And if that was the official announcement, then people would have been like, wow, we got exactly what he said and exactly what we wanted. And it would be clear to what Trump actually ordered last night if he said strategic Bitcoin reserve. He didn't say that. Okay. What he said, I think, incorporates a broader view of the space, which takes into account cryptocurrency in general, which is a really good thing, which takes into account banks in general, which is a really good thing, and which takes into account states in general, which is a really good thing. And we're going to look at what Texas just said also in terms of Texas adopting a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and how they're viewing it, and what percentage of their wealth they could potentially allocate towards Bitcoin. Okay. So it's very, very good for the space. I'm very bullish about it, and I'm super happy about it. We got a bunch of people here. We have Wally. What's up, Wally? We got Financial Conspirator here. What's up, my friends? All right. So next, every major U.S. bank, I think, will now jump into crypto to stay competitive. How could you not? If you want to stay competitive, you got to get in the game. I'm going to expect that we're going to see big price swings when institutional money starts flowing in more. And so I'm very, very bullish for crypto. Okay. Now, let's look at Saylor's viewpoint on the strategic Bitcoin reserve, because this is kind of the summary of what Saylor says about it. And he's been saying this for the last month or 2 months. But if you think about a strategic Bitcoin reserve, to put it in layman's terms, it's kind of like the U.S. has a piggy bank full of gold. Now you replace that gold with Bitcoin, the digital gold, so to speak. All right. So Saylor says if the US holds a lot of Bitcoin, it can basically make the country incredibly wealthy and pay off its massive debt, which is about $36 trillion. Saylor, with his plan of what he thinks the US should do, he thinks that the US could pay off anywhere between 18 trillion to $81 trillion of debt, depending on what they do with Bitcoin as a strategic Bitcoin reserve. A recent quote from Saylor, he talks about a big word called taxonomy, which basically in simple English means that you classify crypto into its different categories. So if we're going to move forward in the United States and we're going to be a crypto nation, which is basically what Trump is saying when he signed that executive order. We are a crypto nation. We want to be the leader in crypto. This is a really good sign for the US. This is a really good sign for innovation. And so basically what Saylor is saying, if you're going to be a crypto nation, you have to classify Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So basically you would classify it into these categories is what Saylor's saying. Number one, you have digital commodities like Bitcoin. Okay. So like gold or oil being a commodity, you have Bitcoin, which is a digital commodity, right? Then you have digital securities. All right. Now, digital securities are like stocks or bonds in digital form. Okay. Then you have digital currencies, which is like online versions of the dollar or the euro. Then you have digital tokens. We all heard about tokens. It's kind of like VIP passes for specific online services. And then you have NFTs, like unique collectibles or art in digital form. Okay. So those would be the classifications moving forward, because if you're going to have rules and regulations, you got to put it into different classes because not everything's the same. And this is super smart. And this is why I actually really appreciate Saylor. He's an engineer. He's smart. He's data driven. He looks at things in differences. Not everything is the same. And that's why I also think Trump's executive order was huge, because we're not looking at everything as the same. We're talking about cryptocurrency as a whole, but then you got to look and classify it into different things. Like, what are we creating rules and regulations for? Bitcoin is a commodity, so it's a digital commodity, okay, which makes it different than a lot of the other cryptocurrencies that are out there. So there's going to be different classifications and there's going to be different rules and regulations. Do I think it's going to take time to come up with some of these rules and regulations? Yes. But what I do think is positive is Trump has followed through on the things that he said he would do, and he's acting quickly on the things that he said he would do. So this is very, 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 very good and very bullish for the space. Okay. I know everybody wants to see, Bitcoin take off and zoom to the moon. I know everybody wants to see MicroStrategy take off and zoom to the moon. We know they tapped the ATM again, $1.1 billion worth of Bitcoin that MicroStrategy just purchased a couple days ago. So we see that trading around 370 or something right now. But I am bullish for a huge Q1 for MicroStrategy. I'm bullish for a huge Q1 for Bitcoin. I think, price predictions on where we could go with MicroStrategy in Q1. Could we break 500? Could we break 600? I think it's very real in Q1 for sure with MicroStrategy. Again, not financial advice, just my opinion. Okay. So, why is this good for the US? Why do we need to lead in crypto? It's really simple. Like, we got to build the fastest car. If we want to be a leader, we got to build the fastest car. That's exactly what we're doing. Trump's moving very, very fast. If we do it, we'll make a ton of money as an economy. We'll keep the dollar strong. We'll stay ahead of other countries. We have to do this. We have to be leaders in AI. We have to be leaders in crypto. We got the right administration to do it. It's the right timing. It's perfect timing, actually, because this is like we're 2/3 through the crypto bull run right now. We have the last third to go. This is perfect timing for the new president to come in and the new executive order to go in. Okay. Saylor has a viewpoint on stable coins. So I'm going to talk about just his viewpoint overall over the last couple months. Stable coins are kind of like a digital version of the dollar. They don't change in value. So like Bitcoin goes up and down in value, stable coins really don't. So Saylor thinks we should grow this market from 25 billion to 10 trillion, making the dollar basically the superhero of digital money. So I do think stable coins will play a role in this administration. We'll see what Trump does with it and what Congress does with it, but I think they will play a role. And we got to solve America's debt crisis, and that's what Saylor talks about. We're in $36 trillion worth of debt. Saylor believes that a Bitcoin reserve could potentially create $16 to $81 trillion in wealth, enough to erase the debt if Trump were to follow the plan that Saylor laid out. Whether they do that or not, we don't know. Cynthia Lummis also proposed another plan that the U.S. purchases 200,000 Bitcoin every year for the next 5 years, which would be what, a million Bitcoin, which would help wipe out the U.S. debt as well. So lots of proposals on the table here. I think lots of people speaking with the same voice, which is really good. And most importantly, the handcuffs have been taken off the U.S. And taken off stifling the innovation of crypto. We knew this world was coming. We knew that the last administration was doing things to stop it, which is just plain stupid. And thank God Trump is in. And I am being political here because the last administration was just dumb. And they were stifling innovation and stopping us from being a leader in crypto and putting in too many regulations. And now the regulations and the gloves are off, and we can fight the good fight. We can win. We can take our country back. So for those of you in the U.S., this is great for our country. For those of you in different parts of the world, it's great. The U.S. gets in the game, the world's going to follow. And that's the way it's going to roll. So this is super, super exciting. Some other news of like just news that's in Semler Scientific is another company that is following MicroStrategy's playbook. So if you take a look at the number of companies that are adding strategic Bitcoin reserves as companies, that we have over 150 companies that now have strategic Bitcoin reserves. We're going to continue to see corporate adoption of Bitcoin. So now you have bank adoption, you have corporate adoption, you have government adoption. Like, could you be more bullish right now on the crypto space and Bitcoin? It's a huge adoption, okay? So what's going to make crypto boom is those three things: continued corporate adoption, government adoption like we're seeing, bank and institutional adoption like we're seeing. I mean, Larry Fink is even talking about 2 to 5% of wealth that should be allocated to from certain funds into Bitcoin. Before, his recommendation was 1 to 2%. Now he's having conversations between 2 and 5%. And when he was talking to a recent fund that I was watching in an interview recently, they're like, what should we be doing? Is it 2 or is it 5%? So if you look at the most powerful man on earth in the financial industry, which is Larry Fink for BlackRock, which is the largest institutional holder right now, or the largest holder of Bitcoin on the planet, he's now increasing the ante from 1 to 2% to maybe 2 to 5%. So the amount of money that is about to flow into the crypto space is insane. Okay. It's insane. And it's a really, really good thing. So we know this is great for Bitcoin. We know this is great for MicroStrategy. And we know this is a win, 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 win. Okay. We all want to see it rocket up. You know, we're all looking at our phones and looking at the price. Like if we look at it right now, we're like, oh my God, why is Bitcoin not at its all-time high right now? It's 106, right? Why is MicroStrategy at 371? Well, they just tapped the ATM again. Okay. But long-term, meaning over the next week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, the next 7 months of the bull run, I personally, not financial advice, at some point am going to be looking at taking profits out of MicroStrategy as it hits my price point that I'm looking for. Okay. And I think we're going to start to see it peak somewhere around August, September area, maybe October. So I'm going to be seeing what it does. I'm going to be seeing how the new crypto order that has come in takes play as the new group that Trump has assembled comes together and starts to put together the new rules for crypto and comes back with what are we going to do with our crypto stockpile. As we find out more and more news, we're going to see more and more bullish signs, hopefully, for crypto. And as that happens, MicroStrategy is going to go up. Bitcoin's going to go up. Again, not financial advice, just my opinion. And as it goes up, as we start to hit my numbers, that's when I'm going to start to take profits. My numbers for profit taking is 800 on MicroStrategy. Do I think we're going to see $1,000 MicroStrategy still? Yes. That's just my personal viewpoint on it. Okay. So it's exciting. It's super, super exciting. And we got Russ in the thread here. We got Wally in the thread. It's good news, guys. It's really good news. So I hope you guys are still bullish on it. I hope this lends some clarity on what we're seeing. Also, we have 11 states now that are now are looking to pass legislation to get a strategic Bitcoin reserve. We got Texas, we got Oklahoma, we got Ohio, we got Pennsylvania, we got all kinds of states, right? The senator of Texas basically says this: it's time for Texas to lead the way in establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve. That's Texas, okay? He wrote this on X after filing the bill last week. That's why I filed SB 778, which, if passed and signed into law, would make Texas the first state in the nation to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Okay. So what is SB 778 in simple terms as it relates to Bitcoin? It's really simple. It's a law that was proposed in Texas to create a Bitcoin savings account for the state called a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Here's the idea in basic language, right? Texas wants to use Bitcoin to make its finances stronger and show leadership in the digital economy. So how would Texas buy Bitcoin? This gives you an idea of how states would start looking at it. The state would spend basically 1% of its extra money every 2 years to buy Bitcoin. And then also you could have businesses donating Bitcoin to the state as well, right? Who's in charge of this? Basically, the state's accountant. It's called the Texas comptroller. What is a comptroller? It's the state's accountant, right? He would manage the Bitcoin reserve, making sure it's stored securely and it's audited regularly, okay? Can Texas spend or sell the Bitcoin? And the way they can spend it or sell it is only if 2/3 of the Texas legislature agrees. So there's no random spending. There's no selling without approval, basically what that means, okay? What's the goal? Texas is going to build a digital economy. It boosts the state's financial security for the future. So basically, in simplicity, like Texas wants to model what the U.S. is. They're like, okay, if currencies are going to be debased, if we know that the U.S. is printing 7% more money over the year, we know that the dollar is going to lose its value. So if the dollar loses its value, if currencies around the world lose its value, and we know that Bitcoin only increases in value, meaning if you look at every 4-year period, Bitcoin's basically gone up. Not basically, it has gone up, right? So while currencies are affected by inflation because of the printing of money, Bitcoin's the opposite. Bitcoin is actually going up in relation to the dollar, and currencies going down. So any state would be like kind of a microcosm of the macrocosm of the nation, right? So when you look at the United States, we have the United States putting in a crypto, call it a crypto reserve or, a digital stockpile. The states are now mirroring this and going, great, we should do this for the states as well, which is smart. So now you have 11 states on board with this. This is huge, right? If you look at the map, you can see instead of red and blue during the elections, you can see like orange on the certain states that are, adopting strategic Bitcoin reserves, or at least proposing the legislation to do it. So this is super, super good, right? And it's smart. And, quite frankly, you'd have to be an idiot to not think about doing this, right? It's just my personal opinion. Like if we're looking at the future and we're looking at technology and innovation, and we are not on board in the U.S. or the states are not on board, you just got to look at like the currency is being debased, guys. For the last 100 and some odd years, we've printed 7% more U.S. dollar every year. Every year, the U.S. dollar, we print 7% more money. So that automatically creates a debasement of the dollar, period. And if you want to then take the opposite approach of this, which is just common sense, and anybody who actually understands what Bitcoin is, any senator, anybody who's running a nation, a government, anybody around the world who actually took some time to study it would come to the very simple, basic conclusion that any fifth grader could figure out. If you print more money, the value of your currency goes down, period. Versus if you have a fixed supply like Bitcoin, right? And there's only so much and there will never be more, the value will go up over time. Okay, fifth grade analysis here. Print more money, value down. Fixed supply where you can't make any more, value up. So like the smart play would be to take 5% of any state's excess money and put it into Bitcoin. That would be the smart play. The conservative play would be 1%. Okay. But if you really want to look at it, the US plan is like, great, to own 5% of the Bitcoin supply. That's Cynthia Lummis's proposal. That's not what Trump is saying, and that's not the executive order. But that is the smart play, is for the US to buy up a whole bunch of Bitcoin. The smart play for any state is for them to buy up a whole bunch of Bitcoin. I don't know about a strategic stockpile being like, I think Bitcoin is the conservative approach. It's the more stable approach. It's the one that's been around since 2008. I think it's smarter for the bulk of the US crypto stockpile to be Bitcoin. In fact, I would think the smart play is 95% to be Bitcoin. If you want to mess around with 5% of other cryptos, great. Okay. But the smart play is Bitcoin. So now if you're a state, that's the smart play, is Bitcoin. And it's just simple, basic analysis that anybody could understand who understands Bitcoin, period. So that's the game. That's what we're going to see happen. I think it's super exciting. MicroStrategy, what's the playbook going forward? We know very simply that MicroStrategy does the ATM. So at the market, they issue more shares. We know that they just passed it got approved by the board to where they could increase the number of shares that they're issuing in the marketplace now. So that's exciting for MicroStrategy. And we also know that they're going to continue to do convertible notes. So if you don't know what the convertible notes are, it's pretty simple. MicroStrategy's been doing this for a little while. We know that at the market, they've been using recently, where they just did 1.1 billion at the market, where they issued more shares and just bought 1.1 billion more Bitcoin. But also convertible notes is a big play. And basically all a convertible note is an IOU. So they borrow money from big investors. They're like, hey, big investor, give me some money. I'm going to buy Bitcoin. That's what they're doing. And when they borrow money, these notes, called convertible notes, right? They don't have interest. But basically investors can trade them later for MicroStrategy stock. So it's like basically the big investor goes, hey, MicroStrategy, here's some money. You're going to give me back 0% right now. And then in the future, I'll have an opportunity to trade it in for stock if I want to. So the convertible notes are becoming a big play. Again, Semler Scientific just did a convertible note for $85 million because they're following the MicroStrategy playbook along with 150 other companies. So it's good. And, the basic of it is MicroStrategy wants to use the money to buy more Bitcoin. We know they're already the largest Bitcoin holding company in the world. And so they basically borrow that money, they put it into Bitcoin. They use maybe some of their general company expenses, but, it's very little, right? What's special about the notes? What's special is they don't pay interest. And investors can convert them into stock later, which is really good. Okay. Recent data in the November notes were, if you want to make it really simple, when they kind of announced this back in November, for each $1,000 note. So like, a big investor goes, hey, MicroStrategy, let me give you $1,000. MicroStrategy goes, great. In the future, that note can be turned into about 1.49 MicroStrategy shares. Okay. So, and the price they're basing this on when they were doing this in November was about $672 per share. Okay. So the idea is like, big investor gives MicroStrategy money. Big investor in the future can convert that into MicroStrategy stock. That's basically how the notes work. Okay. If something changes, a lot of people are like, well, what's the risk of MicroStrategy borrowing money from these big investors? In the future, MicroStrategy can either buy back these notes starting in 2026 if certain conditions are met. Like if the stock price is high enough for a while, MicroStrategy can then buy back the notes. Investors can also ask MicroStrategy to buy back their notes in 2028 if they don't want to hold the notes anymore. So that's kind of the way of like, okay, what happens if things don't go as planned? If they do go as planned, MicroStrategy can do what I just said. If they don't go as planned, investors can also ask MicroStrategy to buy back the notes. Okay. So there's no guarantees on this, but we know this is a good play for MicroStrategy because, if you look at every 4-year period, Bitcoin's going up. And so if you look at that 4-year period from 2024 to 2028, that's a 4-year period. So they're betting that MicroStrategy and Bitcoin are going to go up over that 4-year period, which makes it minimal risk on the part of people loaning the money to MicroStrategy, and it makes it minimal risk on the fact that MicroStrategy is accepting the loan. Okay, so that's basically the deal, and this is what's happening in the world of MicroStrategy. It's what's happening in the world of Bitcoin. My closing thoughts on this are pretty simple. I think it's a really great thing that's happening right now. So I know we got different opinions from people on what Trump is doing right now, but I think it's really, really good for the economy. I think it's we've been known in the U.S. to be leaders in innovation. We've been known to be leaders in the advancing of technology. And so when you look at the blockchain, it's a new technology. When you look at crypto, it's a new technology. To ignore the new technology would be foolish and I think detrimental for the economy and the U.S. For us to ignore it, I feel like we have a responsibility to the world to be a leader in these types of technologies and innovations. And I think this is good for the world as well, because as the U.S. gets in, it's going to be a race, and it's going to be a fun race. I think one of the senators before, I think it was Cynthia Lummis, said, rather than an arms race where we're having a race over weapons, wouldn't it be cool to have a race over Bitcoin? And so the U.S. starts to pour into it. The U.S. pours into cryptocurrency. The restrictions and regulations get taken off the banks, so the banks can now pour in. We know what Larry Fink and institutional funds are now recommending, 1% to 2% of your portfolio going into Bitcoin. We know that the Larry Fink's recent interview is talking about large funds doing anywhere from 2% to 5% now. So he's changed his tune on that. So it seems like he's more bullish. And so major players are getting into the game. And if you look at who kind of runs the world, banks run the world, large institutional funds like BlackRock will run the world, the governments run the world. This is where the most money resides. And then who are they going to offer these products and services to? Like, banks offer products and services to customers. ETFs are offered up to consumers and customers like us. So the playing field has just been leveled to where now it's going to be easy for consumers to buy into crypto. You don't need a wallet. You don't need to go on exchanges that are hard to get into. Pretty soon, people are going to be buying these crypto ETFs like they were buying mutual funds. Will large institutions, will banks figure ways out to make money with it? Yeah. Will some of the market be manipulated? Sure. Are people who are trading crypto and trading even MicroStrategy manipulating markets? Sure. Are the market makers manipulating Bitcoin all the time? Absolutely. You see the price go up to 109, down to 100,000. They're manipulating the liquidity levels. It's happening all the time. So you're always going to have market makers, but overall, as my sentiment for what's happening in the economy and this being good for innovation in the United States and the world, I think this is only good. And I think this is a brilliant move to assemble this executive order that was put in place. Okay. So it's exciting. We'll see what comes to play. We'll see what it means for price movement in the future. Am I bullish for 2025? Yes. Am I more bullish since Trump passed this executive order? Yes, I'm more bullish now. And I think it's going to be a heck of a ride. This is not financial advice, not legal advice, not tax advice, but I think we're in for a bullish 2025, and it's exciting. So I hope it serves you guys. I hope you're happy with the outcomes that are taking place. And, whether politically you agree with Trump's moves and whether he should be the president right now, it's everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just think what he's passing for the crypto world is incredibly smart. And it was about time that somebody came in and took the clamps off the rocket ship so the rocket ship could take off. Okay. So good news all around from my viewpoint. And hope you guys are doing well. Again, sorry, I've been out for the last 11 days, been tending to a family member in the hospital, and that's why I haven't been doing lives. So I'll see you guys on the flip side. Hope you're doing well and have a great, great rest of your weekend. Talk to you soon.